First of all, good evening. My name is Thien Ho. Thank you so much for being here. You know, people always ask me, why am I running for Congress? And to really answer the question of why am I running for Congress, I want to talk first about where. Where do I come from? Where are we going? And where should we be going? So let me start off with where. I was born in Vietnam. And when South Vietnam fell to the north, my parents, my little brother, and I escaped Vietnam on a tiny fishing boat. I was only 4 years old at the time. We ran out of gas, we ran out of food, we ran out of water. We were just drifting on the ocean until we were rescued. I spent 6 months in a refugee camp in Malaysia. And where do we go from there? We came to this country, the land of the free, the home of the brave. And when we came to this country, I couldn't speak a single word of English. I joke around that I learned how to speak English by watching Bugs Bunny cartoons. 20 years later, I graduated from law school. And where and why did I become a lawyer? You see, in America, I believe we are a country of second chances, third chances, fourth and fifth. And when you get a second chance at life, like my family did in a free country, I felt as if we needed to earn it. So I became a lawyer, and I have spent an entire career fighting for the voiceless, the vulnerable, and victims.
All right, everyone is assigned right now. Candidates, please start giving your speeches. I'll tell you all. I'll give you a 5-minute warning, a 1-minute warning, and then a notification to rotate. Thank you.
Sorry for the interruption, but that just means we'll have a little extra time for questions. So please continue.
Definitely. And so why am I running for Congress? And I sort of talk about where I came from and where we're going. You know, my family escaped a dictatorship. I never thought that I see the rise of a dictatorship in this country. I never thought that I see that our judges and our courts aid and abet a tyrant. I never thought that I see the men and women of our military used as political pawns in a propaganda game by Donald Trump. And so when Proposition 50 passed as a local elected official, as the district attorney of Sacramento County, I felt it was incumbent to stand up and to continue that fight. And so I'm running for Congress to defend democracy, to lower the cost of living, and to protect public safety. When it comes to defending democracy, what I have done for a whole career is fight in the courtroom. I want to take that fight to Congress, in particular to break up Trump's MAGA majority, because our democracy only works when it works for everyone, not just the rich, the powerful, and the corrupt. I want to make sure that we lower the cost of living. Frankly, families are being crushed right now, crushed by inflations, housing costs, grocery costs. And frankly, we need to get back to basics. And we need to get back to basics. And what does that mean? That means that basic things can't be fixed with broken promises. I remember growing up in San Jose. I was on food stamp. I wore the same pair of shoes for 2 years in a row. And so I know what it's like to be poor. I know what it's like to struggle. I know what it's like to feel as if you are worried about where the next meal is coming from. And so what do we need to do? We need to lower taxes for working families. We need to reduce healthcare costs that have skyrocketed because of the big, bad billionaire bill. And that's what I call it, the big, bad billionaire bill, because no one should have to choose between putting food on the table and buying medicine. Nobody should have to choose between rent and buying gasoline for your car. We need to ensure that more people can get ahead and not just simply get by. And then we need to protect public safety. As the elected district attorney of Sacramento County and as a prosecutor for over 2 decades, I know firsthand what we need to do when it comes to making sure that people not only are safe, but that they feel safe. And why is this district important? I've said it again and again that we need to take back District 6 in 2026. And why is that? Because this district is one of 5 that we need in order to take back the House, to hold accountable Donald Trump and his MAGA majority, to make sure that we defend democracy, to make sure that we lower health costs, to make sure that we are all safe. And I'm the candidate to do that. I am the only candidate running right now in District 6 who is an elected official that currently represents 60% of this district. Right now, as we're speaking, I represent 60% of this district. I believe that Kevin and Kylie will run in this district, and they do not want to face me, because I will make sure, together we will make sure that we take back District 6 in 2026. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Our procedure here is, if you would like to ask a question, please raise your digital hand. You can do that by going down to the React at the bottom of your screen. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the first one. Chad, if you would unmute. And thank you for turning on your camera. We appreciate that.
You're welcome. Hi, Thien. My question is very succinct. Are you taking corporate PAC money in this election?
Right now, all the people that I'm taking and what I've taken are money from individuals. Are there certain PAC money that I will take, for example, Planned Parenthood, etc. But in terms of corporate money, I'm not taking any business or corporate money. It's from everyday people, and I will continue to do that. When I ran for DA 4 years ago, the vast majority of the money that I took from, in terms of fundraising, are from everyday people, and I've been very fortunate to have that ground well of support. Will I take money from, for example, Planned Parenthood or an Asian American group? I definitely will do so. Firefighters, most definitely, who I work with, but I do not take money from corporate entities and businesses.
Thank you.
Thank you. Susan?
Okay, my question is this. For the past year, of course, it looks like the Democrats in Congress have been able to do nothing, although I'm sure something is being done behind the scenes. If we take back Congress at the midterms, but are unable to take the Senate, what will the Democrats be able to do, if anything, to fight against what is being done right now by the Republicans to the country?
Susan, that is an absolutely great question. And I actually have a blueprint. Let's say we take back the House, and we will take back the House of Representatives. First thing we need to do is hold Trump and his MAGA majority accountable. And what does that mean exactly? So the Supreme Court, for example, has given Donald Trump immunity. But what they have not given immunity to are the people below him. So first and foremost, let's talk about the Supreme Court. What has the Supreme Court done? They are in his back pocket. They are aiding and abetting a tyrant. Now, there are a couple ways to hold the Supreme Court in check. Now, one way is to go ahead and expand the number of justices on the Supreme Court. I don't believe that we should do that. As a lawyer, if we were to go ahead and do that, when the other side are in the majority, they'll just simply go ahead and expand that. Instead, what we need to do is pass what I called a enforceable code of ethics, so that when, for example, Clarence Thomas or his wife are getting money from MAGA donors, that's a conflict of interest. So what I would do is I would then impeach Clarence Thomas. I would hold him accountable. And impeachment is a two-step process. The first process is to charge him under articles of impeachment. The next step is the trial, and the third step is the conviction in the Senate. Even if we don't obtain a conviction in the Senate, one thing I've learned through a long career as a prosecutor, going after people who commit wrongdoing is that when they engage in wrongdoing, the one thing that they're afraid of is that their criminal activity comes out into the light of day. So we need to expose it with hearings and impeachment hearings against Clarence Thomas. The other thing that we need to do is hold impeachment hearings. So for example, and I'll say this, there were the insurrectionists on January 6th. As a prosecutor, I think the mistake that we made as Democrats was we took too long. We took too long to go after them. We took too long to prosecute them. What I would do is create a panel of former U.S. attorneys on both the right and the left, both Republicans and Democrats, those that believe in the institution. That panel of former U.S. attorneys would refer a case. They would have 30 days to respond, and then we begin impeachment proceedings. And I would start with the border czar for taking that suitcase of cashes in terms of holding him accountable. So I think there's a lot that we can do. There's a lot that we can do in holding back funding in terms for ICE. There's a lot that we can hold back in terms of funding for different things that they're doing. There's a lot of things we can do, but it starts with taking back the House and taking back the 6th in 2026.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jill?
Thank you. Sorry about that. The question that I have, I represent the city of Rocklin on council, and obviously you're doing a fabulous job with public safety in Sacramento. I don't know, that's probably we're very fortunate in Placer County that we have great public safety, but we really have challenges with roads and with housing. Can you tell me what you know about Placer County and how you will address those issues?
Most definitely. So a few things. Number one, let's talk about some of the infrastructure issues that we have throughout. So whether it's in Natomas and West Sac with flooding, whether it's infrastructure and roads and the traffic, there's been a huge growth of population in West Roseville. As a result of that, we see additional traffic along the 65 corridor. So we do need to have infrastructure money coming to Placer County. We also need to really, I think, expand the Union Pacific in terms of adding on more trains, because there's a lot of people that work in Placer County. And when they come to Sacramento, we would encourage them to take the train. And so that we can have less people on the roads as well. And so what I do know is that we need infrastructure investment from the federal level. And as a federal official, I am dedicated to making sure that we bring the resources back, not only to Placer, not only to Sacramento, but also to underrepresented communities like North Sac and West Sac. But it's really important. In terms of housing, what we need to do is expand the tax cuts that we have for first-time home buyers. What we need to do is establish workforce housing for teachers and first responders. What we also need to do is increase and find ways to collaborate both on a private and public sector in regards to advancing and creating more homes to buy for first-time home buyers. Let's remember that the American dream that many of us have, whether you're an immigrant and a refugee like myself coming to this country, is buying that home. But right now, the American dream, it feels out of reach for most Americans, most Californians. Right now, we're just struggling a lot of times to make rent. You know, I have 3 kids, including one that's about to graduate from college, and she's looking for a job. The job market is incredibly difficult. I have a lot of young attorneys in my office. I run an office of nearly 200 prosecutors, almost 500 employees, $129 million budget. And I can tell you that many of the young attorneys coming out of law school, they're struggling with debt. They're struggling with worrying about how can they buy the house or get a piece of the American dream? So I think we need to work collaboratively across the board to make sure that we find ways to expand housing, but also ensure that we have good infrastructure, and at the same time making sure that we have smart infrastructure that doesn't increase pollution in different ways, such as the rail, adding rail lines as well from Placer County to Sacramento and vice versa.
Hey, thank you. I just saw we have a 1-minute warning. Nelson, I'm going to go ahead and ask you to unmute.
Yeah, hey, good evening, everyone. Thank you, District Attorney Ho. Okay, so, we're having a lot of funding challenges in the state, and it's quite structural, right? No matter what's being said right now, we are facing till the end of the decade, probably around 30 billion deficit a year. That we desperately have to backfill. What type of appropriations do you want to fight for, and what priorities and appropriations do you want to allocate those in?
I think, first of all, we need to make really a priority on working families and really going back to basics. I think, frankly, as a party, and frankly, both parties, we have lost our way. We need to go back to what I call going back to basics. And what I mean by that, putting food on the table, safe neighborhoods and roads, real solutions to homelessness, and raising families where we work. We need to figure those things out.
Candidates, please rotate rooms.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for all your questions, from Susan to Jill and to everybody else.
Thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and switch you over, Lisa. I'm going to switch you as well. And you will be going to room 4.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Martha, you are here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put you on speaker view for me. I suggest for everyone, if you go to the upper right-hand corner on your screen where it says view, I suggest that you put your view on speaker, and that way you'll have Martha focused in. And Martha, let's go ahead and get you started so that you can introduce yourself to the constituents here.
All right. Thank you, Barb. And good evening, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. I truly appreciate what you all do to strengthen our democratic values across our region. My name is Martha Guerrero. I'm a licensed social worker and a West Sacramento mayor. And for over 25 years, been advocating as a legislative advocate for working families, seniors, and communities that are often overlooked. My commitment to public service began when I was a teenager. My mom had supported an elderly neighbor who sought support to live independently at home. She was a nurse and she became disabled while working on the job. I experienced that there were no government programs stepping in and no system to rely on for my neighbor, just compassion from us to help her with cooking meals daily. And I delivered them and also helped buy her groceries. That taught me a powerful lesson about dignity and what it truly means to care for one another. And those lessons define who I am today. And that experience led me to be a social worker, where I spend time directly with people, advocating for their essential necessities: food, housing, education, healthcare, and social services support. And since I have worked in Sacramento County as a social worker, and earlier on in the front lines of HIV and AIDS patients in the 90s, during a time when stigma often outweighed compassion, I saw how policy failures translated into human suffering and how good policy saves lives. And what I'm seeing now is that today things are getting worse due to the Republican-led Congress. And that belief is why I'm fighting for affordable health care, including protecting Medicaid and Medicare and assuring Medicare for all, lowering prescription drug costs, and ensuring access for all without discrimination, including restoring LGBTQ plus gender affirming care and restoring Planned Parenthood funding. Housing is another crisis I've seen up close. Whereas a social worker and legislative advocate and mayor, where the responsibility falls on my shoulders, I watched families choose between rent, food on the table, and medicine. And as mayor, I don't just talk about the problem, I delivered solutions. I led efforts to expand affordable housing, support seniors aging in place, and invest in housing that serves people with disabilities and fixed income. I achieved, with the support of the passage of Prop 63, which is mental health services expansion, and also bringing in $2 billion for the housing program in the state of California as a legislative advocate. And in Congress, I will fight for federal investments that match the scale of the housing crisis we are living through. Access to nutritious food is essential. Families and seniors should not have to travel miles or wait in long lines just to feed themselves. I support strengthening access to programs that ensure no child or elder goes hungry, and providing food benefits also helps our economy in the grocery stores. So once they have access to the food and they're buying it with those food benefits, it actually reduces the cost for all. So elder programs matter deeply to me. Our seniors, families, safe housing, accessible transportation, and healthcare they can rely on, and communities that value their contributions. I will be a strong voice for elder care, caregiver support, and policies that allow people to age with dignity. Our public education is also threatened with school vouchers, eliminating the public education department. That is not a safe system for our youth. We need a strong public education system with investment. Also an investment for individuals for Disabilities Education Act as written in law. I also support repealing tariffs, HR 1, the negative parts, and the closing the corporate tax loopholes that I've seen there, and also eliminating ICE raids and detention centers, illegally attacking our immigrants and citizens and killing people on the streets. I demand that we bring ICE to justice and hold them accountable for their horrific actions. I am running for Congress because I believe I bring the executive leadership, that lived experience that I will continue to fight in Congress, and a deep understanding of how federal policy impacts the people on the ground. As mayor, I've balanced budgets, built coalitions, and delivered results. And we need leaders in Congress who understand that policy is personal and willing to fight for that. That healthcare, housing, food access, and elder care are not abstract debates. They are lived reality for millions. I'm running to make that difference in Congress. My local government experience at all levels of government has prepared me to be the congressional representative who rolls up her sleeves and makes every level of government effective to serve our community. I would be honored to earn your support, your partnership, and your trust. And I'm asking for your vote. And you can also learn more about me and about my campaign and priorities at marthaguerrero.com.
Thank you, Martha. If you would like to ask Martha a question, please raise your digital hand, and as they pop up in the screen for me, I will go ahead and ask you to unmute. Nelson, let's go ahead and start with you.
Sorry, I didn't raise my hand, but I'll get it done in a minute.
Okay.
Thank you,
I could
Martha.
have sworn I saw your hand. I
No,
apologize.
I'm gonna make it. Martha, I'm very scared about the deficit right now. I think we are really in a structural deficit, at least 30 billion a year, every year until the end of the decade. What type of appropriations do you want to fight for the most during this time of financial crisis for the state?
Nelson, I see, the corporate environment getting richer off our backs. And I think what we need to do is restore a balance in alleviating that corporate, situation where we lower we raise their taxes and we balance the budget so that it takes care of those, the investments that I described earlier on in the conversation. We need to have rent stabilization, affordable housing. We need to have more nutritious meals, such as Meals on Wheels, food banks, and CalFresh benefits restored. You're going to see in the next, what we saw in the governor's budget, a slashing of all of those resources as well, just affirming that HR 1 is coming into play. And I will work on restoring those benefits and restoring that at the county level, at the state level. And for cities, we'll see the impact of that as well through homelessness. So we need to fund effective programming with accountability, then outcomes that show that it is serving those that we are intending to get that funding out the door to for those that need it.
Thank you, Martha. Susan.
Hi. Simple question. Who provides your funding?
So my funding is coming from those it's a grassroots funding effort. My friends don't have deep pockets. So I'm gonna raise every dollar that I can by calling all of my friends. I've been calling my high school, college friends. A lot of them are social workers from my initial college, social work days. And my high school friends are really, very supportive. I've been trying to get a hold of everybody. And that's where my donations are going to be coming from. I'm not taking any corporate PAC money.
Okay, thank you. Martha, before we go to the next question, you did mention a website. I'd like to put it in the chat for everyone to see. Could you repeat that for us?
Yes, it's www.marthaguerrero.com. And I think Robin is here. He can also help put that in, if he can put that in the chat too.
Yes, I believe he is. And I'm sorry, you said .com. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Robin, if you would double check that when I pop it in, I hope I spelled it correctly, but I do want to make sure that's available to everyone. Great. Okay. Catherine, I'm going to ask you to unmute and please ask your question.
I'm Cynthia Shallett. I'm really here with Catherine, but I'm Cynthia Shallett. And I'd like to say that I really liked all your proposals to expand more government programs for housing and poverty. But, people have struggled against corporate influence in Congress for decades. And the billionaire influence over congressional members just grows stronger all the time. Now, you mentioned a corporate tax break that you'd want to get rid of, but what really can you do to change that environment?
Well, that is what we have to fight. And I will say that when I became mayor, we didn't see investments in areas in the city, since the city became a city, and we are now making the investments. The way I do this is I organize people. I organize to get that voice and put that pressure where electeds make the decisions. And that's what I've accomplished. Where the Bright Park, where there was a gang injunction, and they came and complained. And I said, listen, only way for us to make a change is for all of you to go to City Hall and to fight. And they organized and did that. They did a campaign. And because of that, the council members, I think, who were initially resisting, and we got the media involved. So you talk about why that's important to them. We talk about it as a group. Let them take that ownership, and that now we're we're breaking ground for a $60 million park in Brighton Broderick. It's a beautiful aquatic center. Those are the things that I've done throughout the city where people feel ignored, and those are the skills that I will take. As a social worker, that's my skill set, is to organize people, to advocate and fight. And to do it, with the U.S. Conference of Mayors is what we were doing. We gathered the data. I will work with, all levels of government to fight for this at the, local level. We influence their congressional members. It's really appalling to see how everybody has, the Republicans have just caved to Trump and not fought back. But you did see a little glimmer in the House where, they did turn around and make a difference. I think more pressure needs to be applied, and we need to continue to fight really hard.
Hey, thank you. Next up, I see Chad.
Yes, hello, Madam Mayor. My question is, would you support Hakeem Jeffries as majority leader if we win back the House next year?
Hi, Chad. That's a great question. I have not met Hakeem Jeffries, but he sounds like he would be a great representative for the House. So it sounds like a great opportunity for me to get to know him and possibly support him. So I just want to say that I would like to spend an opportunity to get to know him and see if our values meet. I think you don't automatically hand your vote over without meeting somebody and seeing if you can collaborate and work together until then. So that's what I would do.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jill?
Thank you. Hi, Martha. Jill Gallardo, City of Rocklin.
Hey, Jill.
Nice to see you. It's always fun. As serving last year was a joy, obviously, for me. I think a little bit of what I'm seeing of the folks that are running, it seems to be very heavily Sacramento centric. So certainly in Placer County, that I want to know what people know about Placer County, how they will get to know Placer County, and then certainly what you can do to help us. Obviously, Highway 65 is a huge issue for us. When I'm trying to attract businesses to my city, they have to be able to move their goods. It impacts everyone's daily life because it is literally a bottleneck every single day at all hours. Yeah. If you could touch on that, I'd appreciate it.
Thank you, Jill. Well, I think we worked together on
we have 1 minute warning.
Oh, one of two areas. I was past president of the Sacramento Valley Division League of Cities. That was an area where I got to learn, and we visited other regions, and also in SACOG, Sacramento Area Council of Government, where transportation is making sure that we make those investments on our roads and corridors. For public transportation, bikes, pedestrians, and things like that, and also making sure that it's climate resilient. I would make the time to meet with local representatives, town halls, which is what I currently do today with those in the city. I would accomplish that to get to learn what the needs are. And one of the things I just like to do is to organize people to be vocal and to represent their needs in partnership with what I can do at the congressional level. So thank you for the question, Jill.
Thank you.
Looks like Robin might have already moved himself. Okay, great. Okay, coming to our room is going to be Lauren Babb Tomlinson, and I believe she has a staffer joining her as well. So Lauren, if you have been moved over yet, can you let me know you're here?
Hi, Barb. I'm here. Thank you. Hello, room 3.
Thank you. Did Julie come with you?
Julia is here. We are ready to go.
Perfect. Okay, let's go ahead and forge ahead.
Awesome. Would you let me know when you would like me to get started? I know there's folks still rolling in, so I want to make sure I am ready to go.
Be, we still, believe it or not, we still have people coming in late, but I'm able to assign them. So if you are ready to start, please do.
All right, I will do that. Well, good evening and thanks for having me. My name is Lauren Babb Tomlinson, and I appreciate the opportunity to tell you a little bit about me and why I'm running for Congress. It really starts for me. Politics is not sort of how I got started. I really got started at my grandmother's kitchen table. My grandmother was very adamant that I learn cursive and penmanship. It was like, that's what you do. And so how I learned cursive and penmanship was she made me write all of her letters to the city council about things she didn't like. So if we had a pothole or if something wasn't going right in our neighborhood, it was my job to use my little cursive, write the letter, and then we would read the responses. And if they met her threshold of what she thought change was, then I didn't have to write another one. But what I learned from this is that government is supposed to work for people. It's something you engage with, and it's something that also can always improve. She taught me the importance of speaking up and being of service. My same grandmother also raised 6 kids with a union job at a hospital. She deeply believed in her work and the power of working for other people. When my grandfather, a veteran, passed away, she took care of those 6 children with Social Security, and it became a critical safety net for our family. It wasn't charity, it was a promise kept, and it allowed my grandmother to stabilize our family in one of the hardest moments of her life. And so when I talk about these experiences, I say it because it has really shaped my belief in how this country is supposed to work for people. Show up, you work hard, and it keeps their promises. Like many families today, as my child is screaming in the background, I hope you all don't hear that. I'm balancing a family and working. I'm the Chief Public Affairs Officer for Planned Parenthood Maramonte, and I have a almost 1-year-old on Thursday. As you can imagine, raising a family in Sacramento is incredibly hard and is getting really expensive. My daycare is more than my mortgage. My same kid is transitioning away from formula to about 3 quesadillas a day, and that adds up. And I hear time and time again about how hard it is to raise a family in this district with the rising costs of healthcare, concerns about our schools, wildfires, and all of this impacts the best quality life we want for families. I'm running because I think that people deserve a leader with new energy and new ideas. And I never really thought that this would be something I would do, except for the fact that this summer, the Republicans and Trump gutted healthcare. Planned Parenthood had to close 5 health centers. And unfortunately, I was one of the people that had to tell patients and staff that we would no longer be there for them for prenatal care, family medicine, behavioral health, and many other services. We have seen what this administration will do to gut healthcare, and I never want this to happen again. And that is why I'm running, to make sure that we can protect access to healthcare in this country, because healthcare is not a privilege, it's a right. I just firmly am really struggling with the fact that people cannot afford to age with dignity. That same grandmother that I was telling you about, she passed away from Alzheimer's, and I took care of her during my senior year of high school. And we've got to start investing in making sure that our seniors can age with grace. That looks like protecting Social Security and Medicaid. That looks like making sure there's affordable housing. No one should have to decide between, am I going to pay the rent, or am I going to get my heart medication or my inhaler? And that is what is happening every day, and people are making these choices. So we've got to fix the care economy, not just for my young son, but also so that folks can age with dignity and grace. So I'm ready to bring a fresh energy to Washington, because I'm hearing over and over again in these conversations that people are looking for a new type of leader. The same old playbook is not working. And this primary is an opportunity to bring a new message that we can do better, because this district deserves it. So I'm going to stop talking and answer questions, because that's actually my favorite part. Barb, I hope that I'm in the right time frame for that.
You absolutely are. As I've asked before, please make sure you use your digital hand to ask a question. And I will go ahead, as they start popping up across my screen, I will go ahead and ask you to unmute. And we will get a 5-minute warning and then a 1-minute warning. So I will let you know when that pops up on the screen. So Susan, we're going to go ahead and start with you.
I'm back. Our current representative, Kevin Kiley, has not been available for town halls at all this past year. I've been to several town halls where he wasn't there. And what I'm wondering is, are you going to hold town halls that your representative or your customers could come and ask questions or bring up grievances or whatnot at?
Susan, love that question. I'm a community organizer by heart, so absolutely. Nothing makes me happier. My team will tell you, and we were out in Roseville at the No Ice Rally this weekend, is being in community with all of you. And so I absolutely hold town halls. You don't have to be a member of Destiny's Church to get a meeting with me. You will have constituent services that answer questions and deliver for you. And we will have town halls, we will be accountable, and we will be transparent in that. So yes, you have my full commitment that I hope to see you in real life at any time, and really welcome the opportunity to make government work for people, because that's what it's about. Thanks for that question, Susan. I hope I answered that for you.
Yes.
Thank you. David, please unmute, and we'd appreciate if you would turn your camera on while speaking. Thank you.
Of course. Well, I feel like you may have already answered the question. I know with my current representative, it just seems like I always get a cookie cutter update and never anything specific to my question. So I guess my question is, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna pass. I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
Okay, David. No worries. Just pop your hand back up if it comes back to you. Okay. Larice?
Hi, Lauren. This may be a cart before the horse question, but I know in California we did our part by passing Prop 50 to get the redistricting done. But I see other red states where the legislature are just randomly redistricting. How can we be sure we will have free and fair elections with all this going on in 2026 so that our votes can count and what we did in California really will help?
That's
a
great
really
question.
Big question, but I have concerns.
That's a great question, Larice. Every day we shouldn't have to be worried about having free and fair elections. I mean, that's really the problem with this administration. Right. I think a couple things we can do is focus on the Voting Rights Act. I'm a little bit of a voting rights nerd, and so this summer the Supreme Court will actually either gut the Voting Rights Act and the Section 2 of it, or they'll uphold it. And so we really need to focus on restoring and strengthening the Voting Rights Act. And then also securing elections and making sure that we have the support to have state and local leaders handle voter registration and ballots. And then I think the biggest thing that's like literally in our control is making sure that there is not misinformation and interference in our elections. We have to make sure that people understand that they have the ability to vote and not let misinformation and interference get in the way of free and fair elections. And finally, we have to ensure accountability, make sure that we pass legislation that creates legal consequences for voter fraud and suppression. So I hope I answered your question, Larice. I really wish I had the magic wand to make it all work, but those are just some of the ideas that I think we could push forward.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Sandre, I hope I'm saying your name correctly. If you would please ask your question.
You did. Thank you for saying it correctly. My question, I am the president of the Yolo Pride Dems, which is an LGBT-focused club. What is your vision for protecting LGBT Americans, and also especially our trans youth, which this administration is going after hard and heavy?
Andre, thank you for that question. We have to just protect against discrimination at all costs. And I see it every day in my work. There are a series of anti-trans youth sports ballot initiatives that are happening that are just getting in the way of people's ability to live. We also have to take some protections around gender affirming care. They're doing some rulemaking right now that would make it extremely hard and almost criminalize providers for providing medically necessary gender affirming care. We also need to make sure that we continue to protect same-sex marriage. I actually had the opportunity to help pass the Equal Rights Amendment in Nevada. And I believe, although there might be some ERA ladies on here, although it's more expansive than that, I extremely believe that an ERA federally and at the state level is going to provide the most protection for our trans folks, for LGBTQ folks. And so we really need to look at how we are going to work on that in sort of a state and federal approach. And finally, I think we need to strengthen and codify protections under the Equality Act so there is clear and enforceability nationwide. And the last thing I'll say on this is really thinking about youth in schools. I know particularly in this area, there are some interesting school boards doing things like outing LGBT youth to their parents, banning books by LGBT authors, and that cannot continue to happen. We need to really strengthen the ability to protect our youth in their schools and provide mental and behavioral health resources so that they are not facing bullying. And so I would really strongly support policies that influence guidance so that there are anti-bullying policies in place at our local schools. Hopefully I answered that question for you, Sanjay.
Okay, thank you. Julie?
Thanks, Barb. I just wanted to ask really quickly, do you have endorsements from any current congressional members that would be your future colleagues should you win?
Excellent.
And are you seeking any endorsements, and who from?
Yes, we are actively seeking endorsements for many people, but I will start with where I'm at today. I have the endorsement of the Congressional Black Caucus PAC, so that's literally anybody in the Congressional Black Caucus. I'm being supported by Representative Lateefah Simon, and I have been endorsed by Congresswoman Sydney Kamlager-Dove. Man, I'm sorry, I've done this 3 times, so please forgive me. But those are the folks, and we are actively looking at getting as many folks on board that we share values with us.
If Lateefah's behind you, I would love to have a future conversation about your campaign.
All right, thanks, Julie.
Okay. Chad, we're going to be popped out of here in just a moment, but please go ahead and ask your question.
Candidates, please rotate to the next room.
I'm sorry.
This was your 3rd room. You'll be rotating to your 4th room.
Thanks, everybody.
I'm going to have to.
Bye,
Okay.
everybody. I'm going to room 4.
Are you looking for me, Barb?
I am.
Hey.
There you are. Welcome.
Hello. Sorry, I ran a little overtime. Terry put the foot down on me, so I understand.
No worries. Go ahead and let's get you started, Tyler.
Let's do it. All right. So nice to see so many familiar faces here. It is very nice to be doing a Placer County event once again. For those of you who have seen me before, nice to see you again. Thank you for being here. For those of you who haven't seen me before, the question is always the same, which is, who is this young Republican and why is he talking to me? I promise you I am a committed Great Society Democrat. My name is Tyler Vandenburg. I am a 7-year veteran of the United States Marine Corps, a Jeopardy champion, a proud Californian, and I'm currently finishing a Master in Public Policy degree at the Harvard Kennedy School. I am running to be your congressman because once upon a time back in the old 3rd, I was looking to unseat Kevin Kiley and make him cry on TV. I sure hope he enters this race because I'm still looking forward to doing that if I get the chance. But if not, I believe that it is extremely important that we have a Democrat in the seat, particularly after Prop 50, but that we also have the right Democrat in this seat, as we've seen from some of the behavior of representatives from across the country in the past few months. Okay, I'm running on a pretty simple platform. It's got 3 basic pillars to it. But before we get there, I want to acknowledge upfront the events of the last 10 days or so. It's only been 9 days since we invaded Venezuela. It's only been 7 days since Nicole Good died in Minneapolis due to an ICE shooting. And the things that I believe about those 2 things are as follows. With Venezuela, only Congress has the power to take the nation to war, to declare war, or to authorize the use of military force against a country. The president clearly did not do that. Pete Hegseth clearly did not do that. I look forward to using the power of Congress to hold hearings and then to hold them accountable for what they've done in attacking another country here. And as regards Nicole Good and many thousands of our neighbors who we do not see their names on the nightly news every night, I am both feet down and highly committed to breaking up ICE, dismantling ICE in its entirety, and to prosecuting Kristi Noem and everyone else who seized people off of our streets without a warrant and with masks over their faces, because this is the United States of America and the rule of law is only as good as we enforce it to be. We need to uphold it. Okay, 3 pillars of my campaign are basically as follows. Pillar number 1, I believe that it's time to dig in our heels and fight back against the administration. This means using every single tool to hand: impeachment, congressional hearings. Congress has the power to arrest, to subpoena, to investigate. And we ought to use every single one of those to bring the administration to heel for its illegal conduct. And if they still won't act inside the bounds of the law, I'm not above turning off the budget to fund the power bill at the White House. If we need to shut off their lights and cut off their paychecks, I look forward to doing so until they come back inside the confines of the law and they act constitutional. But I also know that it's not enough just to go to the voters and say that we're going to fight with the president, as important as that is for our democracy. And so I believe in building a positive vision of the future. This is pillar 2 of my campaign. Here's what that means to me. I'm a healthcare for all candidate. I have been since the beginning. Whether we do Medicare for all nationwide or we build a universal system right here in the state of California and we use federal money to help us do it, now is the time to achieve a healthcare system that covers everybody and where nobody goes bankrupt due to getting care. I also believe in homes for every generation, homes and home ownership for every generation. Young to old, everybody deserves a place that they can afford to buy, to build a life in, to start a family in, and to live their lives out and to pursue the American dream from. And that means not just suburban houses, it means townhouses and condos and low-rise buildings around our transit centers to make sure that we're meeting the needs of every kind of person in our communities and every kind of lifestyle is supported. I believe in building a green grid, not just because it's the right thing to do for our climate, but because a green grid is essential if we're going to renovate our century-old power infrastructure here in the state of California and stop burning the state down every single year. It's a safety thing as well as a climate thing. I believe in investing in real commuter choice. That means our rails, including the high-speed rail and the Capitol Corridor and a light rail to the airport, as well as in our roads to make sure that we have real commuter choice to get across our state safely and efficiently and carbon-free. I believe in investing in our education system. We ought to have the best funded K-12 education system anywhere in the country here in California. And we can invest in our UCs, CSUs, and community colleges, not just to bring tuition down for regular Californians, but to make sure that we're plugging some of the gaps in research funding caused by the Trump administration illegally earlier in the past year. I also finally believe in securing Social Security. People work all their lives for these benefits, and they deserve to have them there when they retire as well. It's an imperative in our social contract, and we need to maintain Social Security for the future. Finally, third pillar, it goes just like this. It's a simple moral one. We need to make America safe again. And it needs to be safe for our immigrant neighbors so they're not being kidnapped when they drop their kids off at school or go to work. We need to make America safe for everyone in our LGBTQ plus communities. That includes our trans kids and trans adults. We need to make America safe for women to have private conversations with their doctors again. And we need to make America safe for people to go to work without fear of retaliation or an unsafe working environment. I look forward to all of your questions and to hearing how I can better advocate for you. One final thing that I will say: all of the candidates running in this race are excellent people. I have good things to say about each of them. Our differences are on policy, not on personality or principle. But you will hear from each of them, and I have heard from each of them, that the thing that we need most of all in Congress is a fighter. And I tell you, if you want a fighter in Congress, you could do worse than a U.S. Marine. So I look forward to your questions.
Okay, thank you, Tyler. If you have a question that you would like to ask Tyler, I ask you to please raise your digital hand, and then I will go ahead and ask you to unmute. We've got some people that I'm trying to let in as well. Trying to do multiple jobs here at once. Okay, Laurice, let's go ahead and get started with you.
Me again. Hi, Tyler.
Hi, Laurice.
I just retired last year after working for 53 years. I started collecting my Social Security. Well, I started working at 16. I started collecting my Social Security, but I'm very, very concerned when I hear Republicans refer to it as entitlements and words that are not correct. My question is this. I know if we take back the House and Democrats will vote to preserve Social Security, what can we do to fight a president who just cancels things? And what can we do to protect our Social Security from just being canceled without any input from Congress?
Well, if he wants to play that game, I look forward to canceling things in return that he likes. This is one of those things where we need to use the full power of Congress to bring the president to heel. We are helped at least a little bit by the fact that the Social Security Administration is not directly responsible to the president. It's not quite like other cabinet departments, but I completely agree, right? The president has shown little regard for the strictures of law or for the independence of agencies in how things are distributed or dispersed. I think if he tries anything of that kind, we ought to move to completely shut down the government until he restores it, because it is essential that we have, not just for retired people, but Social Security disability income, SSDI, is very, very important in our mental health system, in ensuring that people who have physical disabilities have an income when they can't work. Like, it is a critical social infrastructure piece. The president is going to try all kinds of wild and extremely dangerous things in the next 3 years. In Congress, the best that we can do, and I don't know what he's going to try, but the best that we can do is to remain adaptable and to remain aggressive in dealing with him, and to use every bit of our power to ensure that he's remaining inside the confines of the law and imposing real consequences on him when he doesn't. I can't give you a more full answer than that because I don't know the tactical lay of the land at that time, but that's what I have for you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. And I just noticed that we just got a 5-minute warning.
Okay.
Julie.
Thank you again, Barb. Tyler, hey, good to see you.
Hey, Julie.
Just a quick question for you. Do you have endorsements from other congressional members who would, obviously ultimately be your colleagues? Who's supporting you currently?
No endorsements from the California Congressional Delegation. Straight up answer. I won't beat around the bush on this one. I'm a first-time candidate. I'm 31 years old. I'm not super connected in Washington. Most of them just don't know me. That's the thing. I'm going to need to prove by the strength of my policies and by winning voters the old-fashioned way that I'm somebody to be taken seriously and that I have policy ideas that are going to change the country and the caucus. And I look forward to earning that respect from them, as well as earning the respect and the support of the voters in the process. That's where we are right now.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Of course.
Thank you. Kathleen, if you would unmute. Oops, did we lose Kathleen? There we go.
Is it going? I'm so sorry. Thank you so much.
You got it, Kathleen. You're good.
Okay, great. Tyler, I have a question for you. Can you give me an example from your experience of your building a coalition?
Sure. I mean, I'm working to build a coalition right now, actually.
Right. But I mean, it's something where you had to start with like the opposition and stuff like that. And what was the outcome?
Yeah. So I can't, for specific reasons, I can't be too specific, but I will tell you what I can here.
Okay.
This was during my service in the military. I was serving in Germany at United States Africa Command, and I was at the headquarters, and I was terribly worried that we had a lot of assets that we were using really inefficiently, right, at the headquarters. And the process, I mean, you think it's bad in Democratic politics, the process of getting, as a junior captain, right, looking the way I do, about 13 years old, all of 28, I've got a good idea, sir. Some colonel who's been to war 3 times. It's like, get out of here, right? Building the credibility and building the coalition to turn that ship was quite an educational experience for me. And the best thing that I learned out of it is do your homework, know what you're talking about. Don't BS anybody. If you don't know the answer, you don't know. But once you have a prepared idea and you show up prepared and you say, this is why it's not working, this is where we need to change, here is my answer. What are your thoughts? Buying that accountability, buying that coalition support is a long and arduous process, and politics and a democracy is basically the same thing. Interest groups and other politicians, I get it. I'm young. I'm not taking that seriously by, the big powers that be in Washington right now, because I'm just another candidate, right? But winning a primary and then winning an election and showing up and knowing what you're talking about and doing the work to understand the system, that's the best way to earn the trust of those around you and then to use that to build a coalition going forward. And I get it. In Congress, I will be a junior partner in lots of these coalitions for a long time because there are people who know how to do those jobs and I'm just learning, right? But at the same time, being a responsible representative for your constituents is knowing where your red lines are, ensuring that they're enforced, not taking any BS from people when they want to cross those, and using that as your leverage and your guiding star in working with others to build a solution. That's my answer. That's what I have for you.
I have an add-on question to that. So
Okay.
with your military experience, do you have recommendations from those who have served with you?
I have tried not to ask for those for the specific reason that the military is barred under the Hatch Act from partisan statements. And almost everybody that I have served with is still in the military. I don't want to put them in a risky position based on the fact that they're currently under the administration and they would not want to make those statements. I look forward, if they ever retire or get out of the military, to seeking those endorsements, but I can't do that right now for their safety.
Okay. What I find unknown about you is enthusiasm A+.
Thank you.
Communications exceptional, but I don't know your actual work experiences, that how it has changed you or matured you, and that would make me feel more enthusiastic, I guess, about endorsing you.
Well, thank you.
If you could put some of that out for people that just see you visibly as so young, I think that would be wonderful.
Well, thank you for the suggestion. I look forward to working with you one-on-one and talking about that more. I do want to get to the last questions before we run out of time. Is that okay?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we are going to run out of time. I apologize.
Candidates, please rotate to the last breakout room.
And there we go. Sorry about that.
Okay, for those who had questions, I can be reached at info@tv4ca.com. I look forward to following up with every one of your questions in person. I'm sorry we ran out of time. I know I'm a little long-winded. Thank you all for your time, and thank you for being here this evening.
Okay, and we are expecting Richard Pan, our fifth candidate, coming in from room 2. Okay.
Hello.
Hi, Dr. Pan, you're here.
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight. And let's get ourselves started because we keep running out of time. So please get started.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm really excited to be here with all of you. I'm Dr. Richard Pan. I'm a pediatrician, a former state senator, a union member, and I'm running for Congress to represent our community. After I finished my training, my medical training, I came to UC Davis to teach doctors to partner with neighborhoods. I cared for children and worked with families to improve their well-being and prevent disease. And many of the families who I cared for shared their struggles with me about paying for necessities for their child: food, rent, childcare, and even healthcare itself. And I also knew, unfortunately, there were also too many children who didn't see any doctor because they didn't have health insurance, which is why I founded Healthy Kids, Healthy Future, a regional children's health initiative that included Placer and Sacramento County that helped over 65,000 children with health, dental, and vision coverage. And that experience is what brought me into public service. Because when the Great Recession hit, and frankly, the money dried up for our initiative, clinics couldn't pay their staff, and state workers were furloughed because California could not pass a budget on time. In fact, the media said California is ungovernable. So I ran for the state assembly in 2010 in a safe Republican seat that stretched from South Placer County to northern city of Sacramento. And most people thought I had no chance of winning, and I won, becoming the only Democrat that election to flip a legislative seat from red to blue. And I won because people want to elect leaders who can actually govern and deliver results. So in the state legislature, that's exactly what I did. I worked to pass balanced budgets with both revenue increases and spending cuts, and reduced the number of uninsured by almost 2/3. I expanded food assistance efforts so seniors, children, and people with disabilities would not go hungry, and authored laws to lower the cost of prescription medications, including California now manufacturing $11 insulin pens for people. When measles spread starting in Disneyland, I authored our state's landmark vaccine legislation to build community immunity to these preventable diseases so we wouldn't have future outbreaks that would lead to school closures. Unfortunately, extremists then threatened my life and safety for doing this, but I stood my ground. I didn't back down when it was difficult or unpopular because protecting people matters more than political expediency. And that record matters in this race. Unfortunately, those accomplishments I shared with you to improve the lives of Californians are under attack by Donald Trump, RFK Jr., and MAGA Republican Congress. There are going to be more uninsured people who cannot afford care, and there's going to be more preventable diseases because of their decisions. which is why I'm running for Congress now. I've represented over 60% of this congressional district, more than anyone else who is running. I'm the only person in this race who's actually represented Placer County. I've worked with local leaders here to improve the lives of Placer County families, and I understand the challenges families here face because I've been accountable to them. I've earned the support of many local elected officials in this congressional district because they know my record and they know I can do the job. At a moment when control of Congress is at stake, experience and readiness matters. We need a candidate who can win, who can stand up to MAGA extremism, and who's able to go to work immediately delivering for us. I'm running for Congress to fight to save your health care, to protect Social Security and Medicare, and to make life more affordable for working families. So I'm asking for your support, and I would be honored to represent you in Congress. And I look forward to your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pan. Okay, once again, and you're all getting really good at this, please use your digital hand, and I will call upon you and ask you to unmute. And so let's go ahead and get ourselves started. Julie, looks like you're going to be first up.
Sorry, let me go on camera because I know that we like to do that with this.
We do, and thank you.
Thanks, Barb, and thank you, Dr. Pan, for being here. Just one quick question for you. What congressional colleague endorsements have you secured so far, if any, and what congressional colleague endorsements are you looking to secure?
Well, let's put it this way. I'd certainly love to have all of them in Congress, from my Democrat colleagues at least. Not so, but I'm proud to have already been endorsed by 4 of my colleagues, and for my future colleagues, I should say, in Congress. I have the endorsements of Congresswoman Judy Chu, Congressman David Min, Congressman Kevin Mullins, and Congresswoman Luz Rivas. So I'm proud to have those endorsements already, and certainly talking to other people in the delegation about their support. But frankly, your support matters even more.
Thanks so much. I appreciate you letting us know. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Jill?
Thank you. Dr. Pan, Jill Gallardo, 2025 Mayor of the City of Rocklin, current City Council member. I don't we've ever met and have or had any interaction. And so certainly my question is about Placer County. Sure. I believe we're a force to be reckoned with, and I have concerns that the candidates are all feeling very Sacramento-centric to me. So I'd like to know what you know and what you have specifically done with Placer County, and most importantly, roads. 65 is a nightmare. I need to know what things you could do to help us with that.
Sure. Yes, well, I appreciate that question because Placer County is an extremely important part of this district. I previously represented I didn't have Rocklin, unfortunately, in my assembly district. So, but I have worked with people in Placer County, actually in many different roles. So, as I mentioned, when I did Healthy Kids, Healthy Future, we had 5 counties. Placer was one of the counties that worked with us. We worked closely with the First 5 Commission and the County Board of Supervisors to provide funding for that. I actually served on the United Way Board for over 20 years, actually the immediate past chair. Placer County is part of the United Way region. And then, of course, as I said, represented South Placer County in the state assembly when I first ran. And then, unfortunately, because of redistricting, lost my Placer County portion. But, continue to reach out and work with folks. I've worked with people like Veronica Blake, who's at the Placer Community Foundation, with people, other people as well in Placer County as well. I agree with you that one of the issues in Placer County is transportation. In fact, when I was in state legislature, I worked with SACOG on Green Means Go. That included places in Placer County as well, because what we want to do is figure out how can we do more infill development, also to invest in the infrastructure, and that includes you can't do housing without transportation and transit. I do want to put a little more focus on transit as well. So roads are great, but we need to try to get more transit. One of the things I want to work on is actually increasing the frequency of the Capitol Corridor. Right, there's only one train that gets off to Auburn and back. Right, so you're better connected to again the mega region, right? So as well. So we want to increase like rail service, we want to increase transit. And of course, we definitely need to, be sure we maintain roads like 65 as well. And so those are things that definitely want to work on. But I have worked with people in Placer County on different issues before as your representative.
Well, Dr. Pan, as the chair-elect for SACOG after Thursday, I think that will be my title. So I will look forward to connecting with them and having those conversations.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations. I love working with SACOG and definitely want to work with in the state legislature. I definitely want to work with SACOG in the Congress, and I want to be sure our entire region. It's not just like, oh, these are Dem parts. I mean, and we're going to turn this into Dem parts. Sorry, but we want to be sure the whole region, because we're all in it together. And so I've worked with people to be sure that we do that.
That's a crucial line for me, because that is the piece. We are all connected and we all have to work together.
Exactly. Yes.
Thank you. Jan, you're next.
Hi, Dr. Pan.
Yes.
We all think that your state qualifications are top notch. My concern as a former military and a veteran, the situation in the world with the foreign policy by this different administration put this all at risk.
Yes.
What do you see as the biggest problems that are currently we're facing, and what do you think you'll be able to do in the House to address that and to make us safe, to keep us in NATO and not alienate everyone in the world except the dictators?
Yeah. No, thank you. And first of all, thank you for your service, and I appreciate that's an extremely important question. I should mention my sister-in-law was used to be an attorney in the State Department, and then left during the first Trump administration. She did human rights law, and certainly our relationship with the rest of the world. Anyone who studied history understood that our isolationism during essentially World War I is what probably helped lead to World War II and afterwards, right? And that we do need to engage with the world. And for example, NATO is an important part of that engagement, as well as other alliances that we have. And the fact that this administration essentially not only flouting the alliances and but also even threatening members of our own allies. That's just I'm not sure what the word is. I'll try to keep things PG rated or G rated here. So anyway, yes, I think that on a foreign policy level, we need to work with the rest of the world and being sure we assure the stability and safety of the world, because that then assures the stability and safety of our own country and Americans, right? And it includes, and by the way, our military should not be used for an adventurism like what we just did in Venezuela. So obviously, clearly we have amazing troops who can do amazing things, but why were they doing that again, right? What was the purpose of this? What's the long-term advantage? What's the advantages that to the United States to have put those lives at risk? Right. So, I mean, that's the kind of adventurism that we should not be engaged in. And then certainly as a member of Congress, well, we need to hold Donald Trump and his administration accountable for the fact that it's Congress that has, under the Constitution, we need to defend the Constitution. Only Congress can declare war. And although he's trying to say it's not, that's a war action. And therefore Congress should have been engaged. And the fact that he didn't is unconstitutional. And we should be calling him out for that. And we should be demanding that the judges actually also rule him as basically declare that action as unconstitutional as well. And there needs to be consequences for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Josh, if you'd unmute, please.
Yes. Hi, can you hear me? So I think a lot of Democrats have been really disappointed with Democratic leadership in Congress. So my question for you is, if Democrats take back the House, what commitments, if any, do you need to see from Hakeem Jeffries before you would vote for him as Speaker of the House?
Well, let's put it this way. I would say is that we need a leadership that holds this administration, and frankly, first of all, we need a Congress that actually exercises the powers Congress should be exercising, right? And no matter who's in the presidency, I don't expect that a Democratic president would be breaking those lines. But that's not a matter of partisanship even. And clearly this president is violating the Constitution, right? And we need a leader who is going to who basically is going to demand that the Constitution be enforced, right? So hopefully I will be, Hakeem Jeffries needs to, if we're handing him the majority, he needs to be doing that, right? At the same time, we need to be doing oversight over the parts of the administration, whether it's Department of Defense, Homeland Security, Justice, and HHS, and other ones, right? Because they need to be following the law. Clearly, many times I can, at least certainly I have a bit more focus on HHS. They're not following the law. They just, when they changed the vaccine recommendations, they didn't even bother to even consult their own handpicked, immunization practices committee, which is against.
Breakout room or the main room. Give it a few more seconds to make sure everyone's here. I hope you really enjoyed this opportunity to ask questions and listen to all the candidates. Before we leave tonight, I'm going to give each candidate 2 minutes to give a closing statement or remarks. I'm just going to set up a timer real quick if it'll let me. All right, we're highlighting you. All right, go for it, Lauren.
All right. Well, that was so fun, Nick. Y'all did a fantastic job. I'm a mom. I'm Lauren Babb Tomlinson, running for Congress. I'm a mom. I'm an advocate, and I'll keep it simple. I will fight for you like I fight for my own family. I'm a working mom, and I'm a community healthcare advocate who understands the challenges that working families are facing. Raising a small child who will be 1 this week, I know what it's like to have a high grocery bill. I know what it's like when utilities go up and childcare costs increase. Housing costs are going up, and it's making things really out of reach for families. So I'm running for Congress because I believe we need a new generation of leadership who isn't afraid to roll up their sleeves, take on the status quo, and get results for working families. If anything, I learned so much about what you all care about, and we share that. We share values that we deserve a country where we feel heard, where we feel respected, and we need leadership that understands how to get things done in Washington. I also think that at the end of the day, you all have a unique opportunity to send someone like me to Congress who's not a career politician. I'm a mom, and I really just think that healthcare is a human right. And I look forward to meeting you all out on the trail. Some of you I saw at the No Ice rally. And thank you for the time, and thank you for allowing me to be here. This is a fantastic forum, and I'm going to yield my 38 seconds back. Thanks, Nick.
Thank you, Lauren. Thank you so much. All right. Whenever you're ready, Martha.
Thank you. I had a hard time unmuting myself. I just want to say thank you to everybody for this opportunity tonight and your excellent questions. It's an opportunity to get to know more about you and what we can do to work together. And that's what I'm about. As a licensed social worker, a mom, also a grandma as well. I have been a social worker as a result of the values that my mother has instilled in me and helping my elderly neighbor that needed a support, needed compassion. That's what we need today. We need, and on top of that, a mayor who has rolled up her sleeves and delivered the results at the local level. I have also fought at the federal level in drawing down federal funding and helped our region as a whole in flood protection, in taking care of our public roads and parks. So I just don't talk about these things. I have done these things. And these are the things that I will continue to do as an advocate. These are the things that have been achieved by organizing people who are asking for crucial things and essential things that they need to improve their quality of life. And so we deserve someone who takes the hard votes, who stands together with the people and makes that change among the decision makers. That change where we saw Bright Park never see a dollar invested on behalf of them in the city since the city became a city, and now has $60 million. Those are the changes as a result of the people organizing and me partnering with them. And I will partner with you to fight for you in Congress. So I'm asking for your vote. I will, deliver those results. I have been doing it for over 25 years, not only as a legislative advocate, but also as a social worker, caring for the people who really need the support. That's what I will deliver. Thank you so much for everybody.
Thank you so much, Martha. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Oh, let's see. Is there an issue getting you unmuted? You're muted. Let's see what's going on. Just 1 second. Let's see what's going on. Just unmute.
You go. All right. I think I needed you to unmute. Thank you for unmuting me, Nick. Appreciate it.
Yes.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. First of all, thank you so much for having me here. I believe this is the greatest demonstration of democracy in action. As a Vietnamese refugee who rose to become the elected district attorney of Sacramento County, as the prosecutor who brought the Golden State Killer to justice, I spent my entire career fighting for the voiceless, the vulnerable, and victims, protecting people in our community. I'm running for Congress in order to make sure that we defend our democracy, lower the cost of living, and protect public safety. Because every family deserves to live in a community where justice is real and the American dream is within reach. I want to defend democracy because we need to make sure that we have a fighter in Congress that stands up and fight for the rule of law, that stands up and fight for women's rights, that stand up and fight for our Constitution, because our democracy only works when it works for everyone, not just the rich, the powerful, and the corrupt. I want to make sure that we reduce the cost of living. Families are being crushed right now under the cost of groceries, the cost of medical costs, the cost of fuel. At the end of the day, we need to get back to basics. We need to put food on the table. We need to have safe neighborhoods and roads. We need real solutions to homelessness and raising our family where we work. We need basic things, not broken promises. And we need to make sure that we protect public safety. As someone who's been a prosecutor for over 25 years, I know what it requires to make sure that not only are we safe, but that we feel safe. At the end of the day, we need to make sure that we take back District 6 in 2026. And I am the candidate to do that, because at the end of the day, I am the only candidate that currently represents 60% of the district. And we will continue to take back, and we will take back District 6 in 2026. Together we will do that. Together we will rise, and together we will make sure that we are heard in DC.
Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
All right, why is it not letting me? All right, take it away.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Nick. And I want to just thank everyone here for your time and your questions. I really enjoyed talking to everyone about about your priorities and what you care about. I'm proud to have represented you in the state legislature. I'm the only candidate here that has represented Placer County. Really proud to have had a chance to work with you. I'm the only candidate that flipped the legislative seat from red to blue, right? But I certainly hear from the other candidates about courage, and I think I've shared with you my story when I was running. When I did my vaccination bill. When RFK Jr.'s extremists basically assaulted me on the street and threw blood at me. But let me share another story as well, because this is before I was ever in elected office. I was still a trainee, and it also speaks to the fact why I'm such a passionate advocate for labor and for being sure people are represented by a union. So as a resident physician, I actually in Boston, right at that time, resident physicians were not allowed to actually collectively bargain nationally. The NLRB had ruled against resident physicians back then. Because of a local hospital was being bought, the union there was being dissolved. And so we actually took the case back to NLRB, SEIU, and I would happen to be the chair of the resident section for the Medical Society, and I championed and I supported that union. In fact, actually, my advocacy was so effective that basically the head of my hospital tried to get me to stop. I was told I would never get a job when I finished my training if I didn't back off. And I did not back off. And we eventually won. We won the case. And now that's why you see resident physicians unionizing around the country. And that's the kind of courage that I will bring. So that's what we need in Congress. We need someone who has courage, who doesn't give in, and I'm your candidate. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Could I talk? Would that help?
Oh, there you are. Yes, thank you so much. All right.
Thanks, Nick.
All right, we got the timer ready. So, yep, take it away, Tyler.
Well, I didn't prepare much of a closing statement, and so I guess I'm just going to speak from the heart on this one. Folks, we live in a scary time in this country. This is a pretty worrisome moment. For what's happening around us, I think a lot has kind of come to pass in the last year or so that even though we lived through the first Trump term, is still pretty unprecedented. Americans being shot dead in our own streets by the federal government, deportations to foreign torture prisons, and awful wars and horrible abuses of power and corruption. And I see in this room a bunch of faces that I've seen before, not just at Placer County Democratic events, but at protests and at No Kings rallies. And I see a room full of people who showed up tonight because we want to do something, right? I think everyone in this room, and I feel it too, wants to do something about where we are in this country. And no one has the right answer necessarily, but we've got to try. We've got to try something. And to me, what that comes down to is I'm worried not for myself and not even for this community, but for the country that we'll live in 3 years, in 2 years, in 1 year, in 6 months. But there's hope here. And the hope is that we have a great slate of Democratic candidates here in this district. Every single candidate tonight has good reasons to be here and are good, committed Democrats and good people. And whoever of us wins, I look forward to supporting them after the primary. But to me, I'm in this race because we need the right Democrat. And we need the right person to walk and chew gum, to fight the administration, to build a better future, to make our communities safe again, to do all of these things all at the same time. And I look forward to winning your trust, and I hope that this primary will pick the right person, because I believe that person is me.
Thank you so much, Tyler. Thank you for joining us. All right. As we wrap up, I know there's not really a good way to applaud all the candidates, but they just went through a grueling forum and asked a lot of questions. I hope you all had the opportunity to ask a lot of questions and get your questions answered. It's not something that our current representative does, unfortunately. That's why we have the opportunity to have these 5 before us being leaders and good public servants, answering questions. I hope that you will have many more opportunities to hear from them. If you are a delegate to the California Democratic Party, we have our pre-endorsement coming up on Saturday. And Daniel, if you want to show we got a blueprint for democracy, a Democratic workshop coming up in March. So please save the date. Again, thank you so much.
If you have your smartphone, you can get to the Mobilize link from the QR code right now.
Yes, as Barbara said, you can scan that right now. For all the candidates, thank you once again for taking the time to speak.